Hi everyone, welcome back to Bearbie. In episode 2 of the Bearbie Rehab Centre series, we will be styling Barbie as Eva Peron. Now, the hairstyle was a struggle. When I did it in the run through, it looked perfect. I did it on camera and it was a struggle. So without further ado, let's get started. Eva Maria Duarte, or Ibargaran, depending on who you talk to, was born in the early hours of the 7th of May 1919 to Juana Ibargaran and Juan Duarte in the village of Los Toldos in the north of Buenos Aires province. Her father already had a family in Chivilcoy, which was nearby. It wasn't unusual for a man to have another family in rural Argentina at that time. When Eva was a year old, her father went back to Chivilcoy permanently to live with his official family, and this left Doña Juana impoverished. To support herself and the children, she took in sewing from the other villagers. The family were ostracised due to the children being born out of wedlock and the fact that Don Juan had abandoned them. Don Juan died suddenly in a car accident in 1926, and when Doña Juana took the children to the funeral to see their father one last time, there was an unpleasant scene outside the church. Although they were allowed to pay their respects, they were forced out of the church soon after by Don Juan's widow. This undoubtedly left a dark stain on Eva's psyche and would have been something that she never forgot. Sometime later, the family moved to Junín, where Doña Juana eventually opened a boarding house. During this time, Eva participated in school plays and concerts. One of her favourite things to do was visit the cinema. Although Doña Juana had plans for Eva wanting to marry her off to one of the local bachelors, Eva dreamed of becoming a famous actress. Eva's love of acting was reinforced in October 1933 when she played a small part in a school play called Arriba Estudiantes. After the play, Eva was determined to become an actress. In 1934, at the age of 15, Eva left Junín for Buenos Aires to pursue a career in acting. It's a popular myth that Eva travelled to Buenos Aires by train with tango singer Agustín Magaldi. However, there is no record of the married Magaldi performing in Junín in 1934. Eva's sisters maintain that she went to Buenos Aires with their mother. The sisters said that Doña Juana accompanied her daughter to an audition at a radio station and arranged for Eva to live with the Bustamante family, who were friends of the Duartes. In 1936, Eva toured nationally with a theatre company, worked as a model, and was cast in a few B-grade movies. In 1942, she experienced some economic stability when a company called Candilejas, hired her for a role in one of their radio dramas called Muy Bien, which aired on Radio El Mundo, the most important radio station in the country at that time. Later that year, she signed a 5-year contract with Radio Belgrano, which assured her a role in a popular historical drama programme called Women of History, in which she played Elizabeth I, Sarah Bernard, and Alexandra Fyodorovna, the last Tsarina of Russia. By 1943, she was earning 5,000 or 6,000 pesos a month, making her one of the highest paid radio actresses in the nation. Eva also had a short-lived film career but none of the films in which she appeared were hugely successful. In La Cabalgata del Circo, Eva played a country girl who was a rival to the movie star Libertad Lamarque. Eva wasn't a very good actress in these films, to be completely honest, and I watched all of them in the name of research, but she was no worse than any of the other actors. As a result of her roles in radio and films, Eva achieved some financial stability. In 1942, she was able to move into an apartment in the exclusive neighbourhood of Recoleta on 1567 Calle Posadas. On the 15th of January 1944, an earthquake occurred in the town of San Juan, killing 10,000 people. In response, Juan Perón, who was the Secretary of Labour, established a fund to raise money to aid the victims. He devised a plan to have an artistic festival as a fundraiser and invited radio and film actors to participate. After a week of fundraising, the participants met at a gala held at Luna Park Stadium in Buenos Aires to benefit the earthquake victims. It was at this gala on the 22nd of January 1944 that Eva first met Juan Perón. Eva soon became the Colonel's girlfriend. She referred to the day she met Perón as her marvellous day. Juan and Eva left the gala together at around 2 in the morning. Eva had no knowledge of or interest in politics prior to meeting Perón, so she never argued with Perón or any of his inner circle, but merely absorbed what she heard. Perón probably allowed Eva this exposure because of his age. He was 48 and she was 24 when they met, and he'd come to politics late in life, so had no preconceived idea of how his political career should be conducted, and he was willing to accept whatever aid she offered him. In May 1944, it was announced that broadcast performers must organise themselves into a union, and that this union would be the only one permitted to operate in Argentina. Shortly after the formation of the union, Eva was elected its president. Perón had made the suggestion that performers create a union, and the other performers likely felt it was prudent to elect his mistress. By the early 40s, a group of army officers called the GOU had gained considerable influence within the Argentine government. President Ramirez became wary of Perón's growing power within the government and was unable to curb that power. On the 24th of February 1944, Ramirez signed his own resignation paper, which was drafted by Perón himself. Edelmiro Julian Farrell, a friend of Perón, became president, and Perón returned to his job as Labour Minister, at which point he was the most powerful man in the Argentine government. Perón was arrested by his opponents within the government, and 6 days later, between 250,000 and 350,000 people gathered in front of the Casa Rosada, Argentina's government house, to demand Perón's release. At 11 p.m, Perón stepped onto the balcony of the Casa Rosada and addressed the crowd. Now, at the time of Perón's imprisonment, Eva was just an actress. She had no influence with any of the various labour unions, and she was not well liked within Perón's inner circle, nor was she even particularly popular with the film and radio business at that time. A massive rally that freed Perón from prison was organised by various unions, particularly the CGT, which was Perón's main base. On October the 18th, 1945, the day after he was released, Perón married Eva discreetly in a civil ceremony in Junín. After his release from prison, Perón decided to campaign for the presidency of the nation, which he won in a landslide. Eva campaigned heavily for her husband during his 1946 presidential bid. In 1947, Eva embarked on a much publicised rainbow tour of Europe. meeting with numerous dignitaries and heads of state, such as Francisco Franco and Pope Pius XVI. After returning to Argentina from Europe, Eva never appeared again in public with the complicated hairdos of her movie star days. The brilliant gold colour became more subdued in tone, and even the style changed, with her hair being pulled back severely into a heavy braided chignon. Upon her return from Europe, Eva founded the Eva Perón Foundation. It began with 10,000 pesos provided by Eva herself. It is at this time that she began known as simply Evita. In 1951, Evita was chosen by her husband as a candidate for vice president. The move was not welcomed by some of Perón's more conservative allies, to whom the possibility of Evita becoming president in the event of Perón's death was not acceptable. On the 22nd of August 1951, the labour unions held a huge rally in which the Peróns addressed the crowd from the balcony of a massive scaffold that had been erected on the Avenida 9 de Julio. It has been claimed that this was the largest public display of support in history for a female political figure. She declined the invitation to run for vice president. She said her only ambition was that in the large chapter of history to be written about her husband, the footnotes would mention a woman who brought the hopes and dreams of the people to the president. On the 7th of May 1952, Evita's 33rd birthday, she was given the title Spiritual Leader of the Nation by her husband. On the 4th of June 1952, Evita rode with Perón in a parade through Buenos Aires in celebration of his re-election as President of Argentina. Evita was by this point so ill that she was unable to stand without support. On January the 9th, 1950, Evita fainted in public and underwent surgery 3 days later. She was found to have advanced cervical cancer. Fainting episodes continued through 1951. Evita's cancer had metastasized and returned rapidly despite the hysterectomy that she had the previous year. She was the first Argentine to undergo chemotherapy, a novel treatment at the time. Evita died at 8:25 p.m. on Saturday the 26th of July 1952 at the Unzui Palace. And here she is, Barbie as Evita. Do you like her? The life of Eva Perón has always intrigued me. She's definitely one of my favourite women from history. And you know, the gays love a strong woman, and Evita was absolutely that. The most powerful woman in Latin America at that time, and possibly ever. What do you think about the life of Eva Perón? I did gloss over a lot of the details due to the length of the video. In Bearbie Rehab Centre, episode 3, I will tell you what happened to Evita after she died. Believe me, it's one fascinating, disturbing story. Until next time, please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.